Welcome back to my kitchen and to Table for One. This week we are going to be making Greek lemon chicken and potatoes. Obviously one pot, obviously one portion, obviously delicious. One thing I love about spring is the re-emergence of the sun, which we haven't seen for months here in London. It's still a little bit crisp in the air, but there is definitely a promise of the summer to come. And for me, that includes a trip to Greece. And that is where the inspiration for this dish comes from. Starting off with this chicken leg. I don't actually think you see chicken legs whole as often as you would think. So for those that are used to having their pieces broken down a bit more, this is a chicken leg. You have the drumstick here and then the thigh here. Now, if you followed me on any of my other channels, you will have heard me speaking about the various pots and pans that I use for single serve, one pot cooking. And this is a new addition to my repertoire. It is from Le Creuset, which is obviously a very well-known, very reliable brand. The reason I love this dish is because it's slightly bigger than some of my skillets. So my skillets tend to be 6 or 7 inches, whereas this is about 8 inches, which is perfect for a dish like this because whilst the end result is obviously a single serve, you have to kind of pack quite a lot in there to start with, and this just gives everything the perfect amount of room to cook. And it also comes with a lid, which we need for this recipe. Just before we start, we're gonna sear off this chicken skin. Now, the reason we do this is for 2 reasons. Firstly, to render out some of the fat. So we're gonna be putting this chicken in a cold pan, and that really helps melt the fat out of the chicken skin and create a beautiful base of flavor. And then the second reason is just to get a gorgeous golden brown color on the top of the chicken leg before it then goes in the oven and we leave it to do its thing. I'm gonna start just by seasoning the chicken skin with a little bit of salt. You really don't need to add a lot of oil, but I just wanna add a tiny bit just to help prevent any sticking. Then you just want to put the chicken leg in the pan, skin side down. Then on the hob, just until you hear it start to sizzle and bubble away and you can see the golden brown edges of the chicken skin. Whilst the chicken is sizzling away in the background, we're gonna prep the rest of the ingredients. So, starting with the potato, I'm using a baking potato, and the reason for this is that it will just hold its structure a little bit more than something like a Maris Piper or a mashing potato. It would just break down a little bit too much, and we wanna keep nice wedges. So, we're just gonna cut it up into these wedges. You want them to be about 1 inch in thickness, not too big, not too small. This is just perfect. Okay, and then with the courgette, we're just gonna chop this up into little chunks. So you don't need the full thing, you need about 150 grams. So you see, you get these really gorgeous, uneven pieces, which some bits will caramelize and soften more than others, and it just makes things a little bit more interesting. Then onto the lemon. We're going to be using a whole lemon in this recipe, which feels like a lot, but it's lemon chicken, so we really need that flavour to come through. We're going to take half the lemon and slice it into rounds, which are going to bake with the chicken and the potatoes and the courgette in the oven. And then with the other half, we're just going to squeeze that on the top at the end, because there's actually 2 ways to season a dish. You can use salt, which we all know, and which is obviously very important, but you can also use acid to season a dish. That's a handy little chef's tip if you want to take your dishes to the next level. And then the only other bit of prep we need to do is just to peel 4 bulbs of garlic. So the chicken skin is browned and gorgeous. Let me show you. Look how gorgeous that is. So we've got these really beautiful caramelized bits here, and then a golden crispy color on the outside, and then arguably most importantly, we have this beautiful chicken fat and juices at the bottom of the pan, which is just gonna amp up the flavor when we add everything else. I think the easiest way to do the next bit is just to take the chicken out of the pan for a second, and then to add the potatoes, courgette, and the lemon into the pan, and then we're gonna add our seasonings. And then I'm gonna add in the garlic, which I have just lightly bashed with the side of a knife, just to break it up ever so slightly. Half a teaspoon of hot paprika, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. This is the most important flavor in this Greek dish. Then season well with salt and add lots of olive oil. We are in the Mediterranean after all. Then just use a spoon or your hands to toss everything together. Make sure everything is well coated in those spices and in that seasoning. Then we're just going to lay the chicken leg on top of the potatoes, followed by the beautiful lemon slices, which we're just going to nestle in around the chicken leg on top of the potatoes. Then it's lid on and into the oven and wait for the magic to happen. The chicken has been in for 30 minutes, so we're just going to get it out the oven, take the lid off and pop it back in for 10 more minutes. So everything is cooked, but we just want to finish it off with the lid off to get a bit of char and a bit of caramelization and a bit of colour. What's really nice is that the chicken leg has kept all of the colour that we got from browning it in the pan at the start. So lid off and back in the oven. So the chicken is out of the oven, and as you can see, we've got this gorgeous golden brown skin on the top. We've got a slight char on some of the lemons, which is exactly what we wanted. And then we have this really beautiful, flavorful liquid at the bottom, which is just the best part. So I'm just gonna drizzle that all over. A mixture of the chicken juices, the olive oil, the paprika and the oregano, as well as some lemon juice. It's just beautiful. Golden little nectar. So we are just going to finish this off with three things. The fresh lemon juice that I mentioned earlier, a really, really good squeeze of that. Then this is a Greek dish. So of course we're going to finish with a bit of feta cheese, which I'm just going to crumble up and scatter over the top of the whole dish. Finally, just some fresh basil leaves. You could use fresh oregano as well. That would be delicious, but it's just slightly harder to get here. So fresh basil it is. That crispy chicken skin and the juicy chicken is just the best.